Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the second of our Agent Matters sessions. It's our new weekly catch-up with agencies of different kinds. Last week we focused on high street agents, and this week we're focusing on the home working sector. So we are joined by two individual home workers, Katrina Smith, who's with Travel Counsellors, and Martin Owens, who's with the Travel Village Group, I should say, and also Richard Dixon, who is one of the bosses at Holidays Please. So good morning, everybody. Thanks a lot for taking the time to join us, and welcome to everybody who's tuned in on Facebook Live too.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning all. The purpose of our Agent Matters sessions really is just to catch up, see how you're all doing, and find out how you've been coping with this crazy time so far. I mean, perhaps if I can come to you first, Katrina, how are you feeling, and how's the last fortnight or so been for you?
It's been interesting. I actually just returned from Egypt on the 16th of March, so I kind of missed, I think, the build up to it as such, and then hit it head first on the Tuesday the 17th. It's been getting to grips with Foreign Office advice, all the different clients, working out. I'm the great one for spreadsheets, so I set up a spreadsheet so I can see all my clients, when they're due to go, where they're due to go, what the Foreign Office advice is. So trying to keep on top of all of that. And now that I can see it in front of me all the time, I'm not panicking any longer.
And how many clients did you have with bookings which were going to be imminently affected then?
I had no imminent ones as such within the couple of weeks, but I've got a lot over May, June. And they're the ones that are still sort of a grey area, if you like, because the Foreign Office advice doesn't stretch that far. Yes, probably all the May ones will be affected. We know that EasyJet probably aren't going to be flying in May, but until they cancel down flights, you can't do anything with those bookings. So it's a watch and see every day, and keeping in touch with my clients. That's the main thing. I ring them every week, even if it's just to say, I've got no news yet, but I'm on it.
Yeah. And how about you, Martin? How have you been the last few weeks?
It's been very interesting times, 25 years in the industry, and we've gone through lots and lots of changes and issues that have affected us. Never anything this unprecedented. It's so hard, to be honest. It's been really hard getting to grips with, as Katrina said, policies from the Foreign Office, but also policies from all the tour operators. They're all individual, all got different time frames. So 14-hour days, making sure you're speaking to your clients and, giving them the best advice as and when you can, and when take it in and understand it all.
Yeah. And Richard, for you would normally be in head office, so you've had to move home for the first time. How have you been the last couple of weeks? And then what about your extended home working team as well? What have they been saying?
Okay. Well, personally, okay, thank you very much. We're a business which is used to kind of working from home. So actually, that side of the transition has not been a particular challenge for us. We actually moved our head office team to working from home over 2 weeks ago. So we've been fully operational, working from home for a good couple of weeks now. And that's actually worked absolutely fine. You're right, I tend to work in the office more than I do working from home. That's because I'm not very good working from home. I struggle with, focus over a length of time without the interaction of other people. So that's my biggest personal challenge, but I'm kind of getting my head around it and trying not to annoy Mrs. Dixon downstairs, because obviously she's running a home working team whilst I'm sat upstairs trying to look at the bigger picture.
And your individual home workers themselves, I guess, would have been going through similar things to Martin and Katrina, in that working overtime to try and help existing clients, but perhaps not a lot else coming in at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I think for all of us, there was an initial shock, at what was going on. The US travel ban was a massive, that hit quite hard. It's like, whoa, hold on a minute, what's going on here? And then obviously lots of other countries started to follow, and then you just got the FCO complete ban. And I think there was that initial kind of shock period. and quite a lot of confusion and quite a lot of trauma in people's minds. I think as we've started to get into, you know, the actual processes that we need to follow, and obviously from a head office perspective, we've been giving guidelines and instructions out to the team. I think, you know, we've been able to kind of, you know, settle down into a kind of, okay, well, this is what we need to do, and this is what we do on a day-to-day basis, and you know, that gives you a little bit of process and takes some of the mania out of it. That's not to say that the stress is not going away, particularly for, you know, home workers and travel agents that are dealing with customers direct. Some very challenging conversations, challenging email exchanges, which is very tiring, you know, mentally, and very challenging from that perspective. So from a head office perspective, we're just trying to support our home workers as best we can to keep them feeling, you know, energized and upbeat about, you know, getting through this and seeing light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, and that's one of the hardest things at the moment, isn't it? Having those very difficult conversations with no easy answers on the refunds front. What's been your experience so far, Katrina? Are the majority of your clients asking for a full refund, or are you seeing the majority postponing till next year?
There are a number of different things coming up. Yes, there are some people that want refunds. They're in difficulties financially, so that's the first thing they want. With those ones, we've got to manage expectations in that, yes, we would love to get it out, refunds out as soon as possible, but it's going to take longer at the moment. But people are understanding, and as long as you're upfront with them and explain everything, the majority of people accept and they're happy. My clients know me, I've been doing this for 5 years, so they completely understand. A lot of clients are moving to next year, which is great. And where we can do that, that's what we would love to do. But you've got to understand if people aren't in a position to be able to do that. But yeah, I've been lucky. My clients generally they've been very good natured about it all. So I am very, very lucky. I've been dealing with some great tour operators as well that have also been great at coming back with things. So from my point of view, at the moment, it's great. I've just managed to save a lovely big cruise booking. They are going next year instead of this year. So that makes you feel good at the end of the day when you've been able to do that.
Yeah, it's the beauty of knowing your clients so well as an individual home worker, isn't it? That it's perhaps a little bit easier for you to get their understanding because you know each other so well, and yeah, such a strong.
I think so. You've got a good relationship with your clients. You know, you talk to them regularly, and as I say, even if I'm ringing somebody to say I still haven't got an answer to what's going to happen to your holiday at the end of May, but I am on it. That's all they want. They just want to know they haven't been forgotten.
Yeah. What about your experience, Martin? Are clients typically wanting refunds at the moment, or giving you a little bit of leeway?
About 30% of ours have either took the future cruise credits or rebooked for next year. I think the problem we're finding at the moment is people, as an industry, we get people to book early. So a lot of people have got bookings already for 2021. And when some of these vouchers are only valid for a certain amount of time, I think it's becoming quite difficult for people who've already got things arranged. So I think maybe as an industry, we need to go out and maybe get those vouchers for a longer period of time. So maybe up to the end of 2022 rather than 2021. You know, we all want those forward bookings. We all want people to book in advance. But it's a bit of a difficult one at the moment. I've got a client who £10,000 booking. He wants to support P&O, he wants to support me, doesn't want a refund, just wants to rebook in May and June 2022, but nothing's out. And the voucher's only valid till March, 31st of March. So we're in an awful situation with him that he wants to continue on, but we can't do anything at the moment. So I think hopefully the industry will move to what Emirates as an airline have done. They're allowing 760 days from the date of ticketing to reuse the voucher. And I think that's something that needs to be looked at, the industry, so people can have a bit of a longer period to book.
Yeah, it's a really good thing, actually. We've done well at convincing so many clients to book that far in advance, but they're unlikely to want 2 trips within a 6-month period.
Exactly, yes. But I mean, the clients, the majority of people are very understanding. They've listened to us, listened to our advice, because at the minute we are counsellors at the moment. We're ringing people up to disappoint them with the cancellation of a booking, but we're saying, well, the best thing is to do X, Y, Z, but ultimately it's the client's decision what they want to do. But they are quite understanding out there. I think as Richard said initially, it was like, oh, wow, you know, this is big. You know, it started off with the US, as you say. It went further and further. At the moment, the world is closed, you know, effectively. Nobody can go anywhere. Nobody can come in, nobody can go out. So until we get a bit more stability and start to see things opening up, I think that's when a lot more rebookings will happen. People will be a little bit more, I'd say the word is safe to travel and feel safe, you know, once they see things are changing.
Yeah. What about across holidays, please, in general, Richard? Has there been a lot of rebooking for 2021? You've seen a lot of refund requests come in?
Absolutely. I mean, it is a mixed bag. I think obviously our prime focus and the messages that we've been, you know, getting out to the home workers is all about rebooking. You know, protect your business, protect your income with rebooking. That's the primary goal. And actually, we've done pretty well with that. To begin with, you know, the rebooking levels were, you know, quite low. So we were getting maybe kind of, you know, 1 in 4, 1 in 3 from the initial shot. But as we've got into the swing of it, you know, last week we were seeing, you know, rebooking levels of kind of, you know, mid 40, close to 50%, which is great. So we're beginning to really get into the swing of that now. Obviously, there are some customers that particularly want their money back, and they have all kinds of reasons and circumstances why they want that money back, and that's a difficult conversation for a travel agent. So we're trying to stay fairly neutral with the agent. We're representing the client's interest, but also their contract is with the tour operator, and that's the basic message that we have to give. And we might not agree with every single policy that every single operator is putting out there, but we just have to do our best to manage that situation with our customers. What has been really encouraging over the last kind of couple of weeks is we've actually started to see some new business coming in. So 2 weeks ago, 2% of our bookings were for new customers, 2%. The week after it was 10%. And last week, 18% of the bookings that we did were for new bookings, for people that were coming through to us, either it's individual homeworkers or via the website, you know, and actually booking holidays for 2021. So it's very, very, very early days of the recovery. But, you know, for all of us, I think we should, you know, take some confidence from that getting through obviously is our primary goal, and that is the kind of strategy that we all have one way or the other. But I do think if we can get through, you know, there will be a future, and that future will kick in quite quickly.
Do you mean, sorry, Richard, that they are new clients to Holidays Please, or existing clients making new bookings?
Mixture of both.
Both. Wow, that's interesting. And how have you been going about communicating on social media at the moment? And Katrina, you said you've been in constant contact with your clients. Are you proactively promoting travel and you know, options for 2021 and beyond on your social channels, or are you being more cautious and kind of sticking to the I'm here if you need me kind of message?
I personally am being a little cautious. You know, as a travel counsellor, each travel counsellor can do exactly how they feel is right for their clientele. I'm keeping up my social media. I do a lot on Facebook, but I'm trying to keep it sort of soft, if you like. I don't think now is the time to be putting out offers or anything like that. I need to stay in touch. I need to be at the forefront of my clients' minds. But I'm just being a little bit cautious about how I do it, reminding people that I'm there. And even if they've got friends or family that need advice, but they're not my clients, I'm willing to help and talk them through. Yes, I'm starting to think, when can I start looking at selling holidays again? Yeah, I'm edging my way towards it, but I'm being a little bit cautious. I don't want to hit too soon.
Yeah. And do you have much time for that at the moment, or are you kind of flat out at the moment working on, you know, helping existing clients with any necessary changes?
I'm not flat out. I've actually I've got into a new routine, if you like. I find it soul destroying to be ringing people and trying to, we're either cancelling or refunding or moving bookings. And I just cannot do that all day. It's soul destroying. So I allot myself a certain amount of time in the morning where I'll call my clients and go through things. And then I put it to one side for a bit. And I'll go and do some gardening. My garden's going to look amazing at the end of this. But then I'll put some time aside for social media. I use Twitter, I use Facebook, I use Instagram. So it's keeping up with all of that at the same time. But yeah, I'm quite an organised person. So at the moment, I'm on top of it.
That sounds really interesting idea, to try and sort of apportion time for the stuff that isn't very pleasant conversations to be having, and get it out of the way, and then move on later on.
I think you've got to have some downtime for your own to get through it mentally, emotionally. That first week I did just at one point I just sat down and I cried. I couldn't tell you why I was crying, but I did. And I think once I'd cried, I got it out of my system. And then I started to think, no, you cannot sit there all day long talking about cancelling, refunding, moving. So I just got some structure. And yeah, I'm lucky. My clients are lovely. So.
How about you, Martin? Have you found that most of your day is taken up with those kind of conversations at the moment? Or do you try and sort of schedule your day in a particular way?
Well, very similar to Katrina. I'm quite lucky. I've gone quite up to round about the end of May, talking to people and actually having that conversation now before things get cancelled, to see what they want to do. But social media, in terms of adverts, I used to post quite a lot and get a lot of attention. I've stopped that. But what I have done is I've posted informative things, like I posted out about Morrison's, about all the shopping. They had all the NHS key workers, things like that, posted that out. We had a little giveaway where people could join live. We did a quiz last Sunday. Posted little videos, positive videos, like there's one which was about a little known burger restaurant, and Dad had done a little drive-through thing so the kid could go to the drive-through on his birthday. So it's about being positive, but not necessarily selling at the same time. And people seem to love it. And on last Sunday, we did a go live where we made a restaurant breakfast, and we had people, tuning in with that. So that was on Sunday morning, making a breakfast. So it's I won't call it a muffin with egg and sausage. I won't mention the names for advertising reasons, but everyone seemed to love that. So people are joining in with that, and we're getting comments. People keep up the banter, keep talking to us. And it's just, everyone's sat at home and we've not got a lot to do, and some lonely people out there. And I think that's the thing to do. I think probably this weekend, with it being Easter weekend, I'm going to start to look at putting offers out, because I think now is the time where people are going to be together and thinking, well, okay, we haven't gone away this Easter. What about next Easter? So they're going to want to see, things around and about, and the low deposits and offers out there. I think this weekend may be the time, and next week going on, because we're about that point, I think, personally.
They're going to be ready for a bit of inspiration soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Would you agree with that, Richard? Are your individual home workers talking about holidays yet on their social platforms, or still a little way off?
I think obviously they're individuals, and their social channels reflect their personalities. So we don't keep it uniform, and you have to do this and you have to do that. They're running their own individual businesses. Some of them have been quite proactive, putting out some positive messages, and maybe mentioning booking for 2021 and some deals and that kind of stuff. Others have been just more light touch, or perhaps following the really good stuff that Martin's been doing there, reflecting either the wider situation or something in communities, so trying to be useful, if you like. As a business, and you know, our social channels have been relatively quiet, just basically light touch. You know, nothing major at the moment. What we are finding, though, again, just to, you know, underline the fact that, you know, I think we do need to start thinking about, you know, the future business now, and as Martin's saying, you know, think about maybe getting some messages out there, you know, over Easter time. I think that's a good idea. You know, all our main marketing campaigns that drive traffic into the Holidays Please website, where we generate inquiries from, you know, are pretty much off. But our inquiry levels last weekend and yesterday, you know, have really picked up. Just the normal, natural, organic traffic that is going into our site. We're not paying for it; it's just finding us and going in there. And our inquiry numbers have picked up. So I think it does show that this situation of customers being stuck at home, you know, what are we doing? You know, let's start browsing, let's start thinking, let's start planning, because we will need something to look forward to. Holidays are a big thing for people, you know, about something to look forward to. So I think despite the difficulties of where we are right now, you know, individually and collectively, I think that, you know, people will start to be, you know, thinking ahead. The key for us, obviously, as individual home workers and businesses, is to get the timing and tone of the message right, and I think that is quite difficult, and we have to be very careful on it.
Yeah, somebody's commented on Facebook actually, just interested to know what dates, what departure date the bookings coming in for Holidays Please are, Richard. I mean, are you doing any winter, or is it all 2021?
Little bits of stuff for kind of the back end of 2020, but mainly 2021.
Right. Also, somebody, Andy Headington was checking in on kind of communication methods, really, and just asking if you're emailing clients as opposed to social media. Let me just digest that. He suggests that social media post view rate is on average 5% of followers, so email would probably be a better way to get the message across. I don't know how good a response you guys find you individually get to your social media posts, Katrina and Martin. I think if you've got a very, very close following on your social channels, actually you can do pretty well on Facebook and whatnot, can't you?
Yeah, it's a great way to sort of reach people, and people share things, but that's not our main form of contact. We actually call people, and that is no emails at this time. I think the best thing is to pick up the phone, have the difficult conversation. And to be honest, some of the conversations we've had, like NHS workers, and it just sort of hits home with you, but they're actually got somebody to talk to. I've got a lovely old lady who, she's going on about a BAC from a cancelled booking. She's got nobody at home, so she's actually talking to us. And I think talking to your customers is better than your social media, any email or anything like that, Twitter. Pick up the phone, you know, old school, and just talk. You know, you might have a conversation for 40 minutes, cancel a booking or refund it, but at the end of the day they're going to go, I remember Martin, wasn't he nice? I'll go back to him. So I think that is the best thing at the moment. Don't just rely on emails or social media.
Yeah, and it's easy to personalize your conversation then, obviously, isn't it, rather than a sort of a blanket email comms which might be misinterpreted or not quite hit the spot for different people.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, sorry. So many people now are on Zoom, so you can actually have a face-to-face meeting with people. They've all got on there now. You know, we do it every week with our family up in Lancashire and all over. So you can actually have a Zoom meeting with some of your clients. I do a lot of networking. Our networking groups still are meeting every single week, but we're doing it via Zoom. So yeah, it is, as everyone said, just staying in touch and being at the forefront of their minds.
Yeah. Another listener has commented to say, how do you feel communication from tour operators has been regarding options for clients? They said they've had some great experiences, but also had some operators who've given them no or little communication. I imagine that's something you guys have experienced as well. And is that affecting how you feel towards those tour operators long term? Is this going to be, you know, a moment you remember?
I think for me, it's everybody is in difficult times. A lot of these tour operators have furloughed a lot of staff, so what they had is reduced. So they're having to adapt to totally different ways of working from home like Richard has, and things like that. So the operators out there have got a very, very difficult time. Like we have, like 2 weeks ago, it was quite easy to get, well, say quite easy, but you could get through to people. Now it's 2-3 times harder, because unfortunately there's people out there that are not working. And I think the government needs to step in with that and allow them, although they're furloughed, is maybe allow some of them staff to come back to be able to assist our industry to be able to carry on, you know. So, but I mean, my tour operators, everyone I deal with, they've all got their own problems, but we're all in this together. So we need to support each other, small or large tour operators. We need to work together.
Mm. Have you found supplier partners reasonably amenable, Richard, and getting back to you and helping, or is it mixed bag?
Yeah, it is a mixed bag, but I would back up what Martin is saying. I think you know, we as agents have to have some sympathy for the situation that tour operators are in, and you know, the fact that their resources are very stretched, their communication channels are kind of ripped apart because they suddenly can't have a call center in their head office. They're having to kind of work from home, so they've gone to email. I think some are doing better than others with that. I think it's too early to say, you know, whether, you know, how tour operators are dealing with situations right now, you know, will impact on future relationships. But there are, you know, certainly, you know, tour operators that are being extremely supportive, and the stances that they're taking are very travel agent friendly and customer friendly. That, in my mind, personally, will count for a lot going forward. Those tour operators that are just a bit cold and a little bit selfish in their thinking, whatever their situation is, you know, I think, you know, would be people that we would be looking at, you know, when this settles down a little bit. You know, the industry is in a very challenging situation, and obviously we've seen, you know, the stance and, you know, policies that ABTA are putting out there. But at the end of the day, we're a business that needs customers, and, you know, we have to understand, you know, our commitment to our customers, first and foremost. If the law changes, then I think our customers would be more understanding, but the law hasn't changed yet. And I think tour operators need to kind of recognise that, particularly with chargebacks from a retailer's perspective. You know, I saw someone mention today on one of the travel agent, you know, social groups that, you know, they'd had their first chargeback, £3,000. You know, it is not fair for tour operators to shift the burden down to travel agents when the travel agent has paid the money to the tour operator. In the same way, it's not fair for the airlines to push the burden down to the tour operators. You know, the airlines, for me, have been the biggest problem in this. And I read about, you know, EasyJet getting a massive bailout from the government. I can't remember exactly what the billion figure was this morning, but it was a lot of money. The first thing that they should be doing is refunding customers now with that money.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. We talked a bit about suppliers who might have put some of their teams into furlough, and that's something we covered in last week's Agent Matters, just talking about, you know, staffing challenges and perhaps high street teams being put into furlough. A slightly different experience for you, Katrina. You're self-employed.
Yeah.
How are you coping financially at the moment with, you know, so many cancellations having come in and relatively few incoming bookings? Are you looking to take advantage of the government support measures for the self-employed, perhaps?
Yeah, I've been self-employed probably for the last 16 odd years, so I am fortunate in that I've got the accounts there. I guess the next step is I'm waiting for this letter to come through that will highlight, I don't know what other hoops I've got to jump through, but hopefully in June I will get some sort of, I think it's 80% of my last 3 tax returns. So that's all there for me. I could take a mortgage holiday, and I could look at council tax holidays, that sort of thing. At the moment, we don't need that at the moment. Yeah, it depends how long this lasts. So I'm resigned to the fact I possibly won't earn much for the next 6 months. And I will scrape through somehow, and I'll come back fighting.
Yeah, at least people aren't typically spending a lot at the moment, you know. Yeah, it's just food, isn't it?
Travel counsellors have set something up for our travel counsellors that have got serious financial problems. They've set something up for them so that there's all sorts on offer. Assistance also with budgeting. So we are very, very lucky. Our head office very, very proactive. So we know they've got this. We've got the support there if we need it.
Yeah. And how about you, Martin? What position are you in at the moment?
Well, at the moment, we're not earning any money. Everybody, all of us are working for nothing at the moment. And myself, I've got 1 year's tax returns. They said they may look at that. So I'm wondering what's going to happen. Will it happen or will it not? But mine's a little bit different because I was paid PAYE for part of the year. And I've got my self-employed income. So that's going to be drastically reduced. I've applied for the universal credit. Now on there, it took a little while to get through. It was a bit of a nightmare, but they've said they'll come back to me on the 9th of May. So from March through to now, there's nothing coming in. You know, as self-employed, that is your salary. And I think what we need from everybody is some help out there, one from the government, but also the industry to maybe help, and let's get things moving so that we can start to earn towards the back end of the year and pick things up. Or at the moment, I feel sorry for people like myself. As things get cancelled, if you've been paid your commission on it, that's being clawed back if it's not protected. So you're going in, not only are you not earning any money, you're actually going into a minus, which is quite worrying because some real big home workers out there, there's a lot of commissions that are going to get clawed back, and it's going to be very, very difficult to get back into being in a, positive and actually earning some money. So, what the industry out there has done, some companies have been absolutely fantastic. We just need to pull together and help each other out, I think. But yeah, it's a horrible time not knowing what's coming in. I've gone in, my car loan, I've moved across for 3 months. So I'm not having to pay that. Council tax, 2-month break. So it's just about looking at your finances, reducing, like companies have done, is reducing your costs. The good thing is I'm not going out buying things in the supermarket that I don't need. So, there's a little bit of benefit not going to the pub or restaurants, but it's just about reducing your costs.
Yeah. And so your home workers, Richard, they are self-employed rather than PAYE with you. They're going through very similar things to Katrina and Martin in that case.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a very difficult situation for them. We've got, some people that have been with us a long time and built up fantastic businesses, which, their businesses are so successful that they fall outside of the, the self-employed, government proposition, because they've set up maybe limited companies or something like that. And then obviously we've got people that have joined us very recently, some people from Thomas Cook that have joined us, so they're getting the double whammy of that situation, who don't have their 1 year's worth of accounts. So it's very difficult. We actually came out very, very early and put up a 6-figure sum as a kind of a fund for our home workers who are facing immediate challenges, and obviously that's there for them. We're also obviously trying to help them with advice, things like well, these are practical steps that you can take a little bit, but it is a very challenging situation, and like Martin has just said, not only is there not much new business out there, but business that cancels, they're losing commission on. So they are in being hit from both sides on that front. So yes, the cold facts are that it's a very challenging situation for the home working community.
Yeah, I think, like you said, Richard, is you've got 6 figures. Some Katrina Travel Council have put something out there to help people. Our company has done something similar. Phil and Paula are fantastic. They've arranged to defer things so you can try and still earn something where you can. But as you say, going forward, it's going to be really hard. And well done, Richard and Travel Councils for doing that, and Paula. More people need to do that. We're all in this together. So please, if there's any other companies out there, please try and help your homeworkers, because we're on the front line there. We get no recognition for it. Not working, we're not getting paid for working. So look after each other right across the board.
Yeah, It's so hard at this stage to kind of see how and when recovery is going to happen. Had the very unhelpful FCO update a couple of days ago to say that outbound travel is advised against, all but essential, indefinitely. Which did you see an immediate kind of panic response from clients when that was announced? Did your phone call list immediately rocket, Katerina, or did it not make too much difference?
It hasn't personally made much difference to me, but I know it has to other travel counsellors, and probably right across the board, whatever travel company you work for. People see that and they straight away think, right, I can get a refund for my holiday in August, September, when really the Foreign Office haven't really told us anything. Yeah. What does indefinite mean? It could mean tomorrow, it could mean September. Yeah, it's not helpful. If you're going to come up with something like that, let's at least have a date on it, so that we've got something to work towards. So it's made life harder for a lot of us.
Definitely.
There'll be some more clarity on that soon, because to not have any kind of line in the sand is totally unworkable for the travel industry. So yeah, very frustrating.
One thing to say to clients is that word indefinite, it doesn't mean that it's indefinite. It could be lifted at any time. So it's about putting that positive spin on it to try and alleviate people's stress and go, well, actually your holiday is July or August, it could be lifted at the end of June. So I think the media, when they put it out, and the Foreign Office, I think, were wrong. They should have sort of consulted with the industry. But, people are understanding, go, well, actually, I'll wait and see. I get what you're saying. It saves them having the work of having to change it every 2 weeks and move it on. They've just put indefinite to ease their burden. And people have been understanding with that. So,
yeah, it's a scary word, isn't it? Indefinitely, but perhaps if a different word had been chosen.
I think where I agree. It's really poor advice from the government. I think where it's created extra pressure, Pippa, is on balance dues. Customers that are, we're going to and saying, right, your balance is now due for your holiday in kind of, July, are much more reticent now to pay those balances, which is a challenge, obviously, because they're more willing to forfeit a deposit than risk paying a balance and then get stuck in a horrible refund situation where they can't get their money back, or they're suddenly stuck with a refund credit voucher notice, rather than voucher that they don't want. So they would, obviously, some tour operators are being really good and saying you can, we'll move your deposit onto a new booking, or even we'll just hold on to your deposit and until you're ready to rebook. Might be a question mark on protection there, but there is some flexibility in the marketplace. But we could really do with some firm ABTA guidelines there a little bit, and they haven't been firm on that. They've basically said, well, it's up to tour operators to make a judgment call on an individual basis. I think it would have worked a lot better if ABTA were actually a little bit stronger on that and said, look, for the benefit of trying to retain as much business as we can at balance due date, perhaps we can put them back to something like 4 weeks before departure or something like that. But unfortunately, that's not a position ABTA seem to want to take.
It would make things a lot easier. July, August, all those balances are starting to come through now, and it's a very difficult conversation. Oh, well, what happens if it gets cancelled? And you might get this, you might get that, and I agree with Richard. It absolutely needs to take a bit firmer stance on that. But I think what might also help with rebookings is if some of the tour operators and cruise lines can start to release further out. I know some of the traditional cruise airlines can't because of their systems, but the likes of EasyJet and people like that, if they opened up their summer window now, I think a lot of people will be able to get a lot more bookings and a lot quicker, and there's more stability there. Like, let's just get them move, get it open, let's get that window open, and let's make people happy again, and they will support us more.
Are you you sound like a real planner, Katerina. how it's so hard to know how the next couple of months are going to pan out. Are you able to sort of plan for any particular futures at the moment, or taking each sort of day as it comes?
Where I'm able to move people, cruise is a lot easier, to be honest. You can move cruises quite easily, and the cruise companies are all up for doing that, so that's fine. with travel counsellors, we've got our own in-house tour operator, if you like. So that, yes, we could possibly start looking at hotels and their transfers, but we haven't got the flights. The flights aren't live yet. So, you know, we can only really book up until about March at the moment for next year. I would like to start trying to, as Martin said, maybe start looking over Easter. I would like to start thinking that maybe I can start coming up with some offers, some ideas for holidays from, I'm thinking maybe October onwards. I'm trying to be positive that maybe from October. Personally, I've got my own holiday in October as well. So I'm hoping October, if I can start to take bookings from then onwards. Yeah, I'm staying positive.
Yeah. Great. Well, you've got to have something to work towards, haven't you?
Exactly.
And, yeah. No goals. And how about you, Martin? Have you got any sort of future plans at the moment, or working very much on a day by day basis?
It's been, I think initially it was hour by hour. I don't know about day by day, you know, but now it's, yeah, it is sitting there looking at your business and going, well, what's best for me? And I've had a look and I thought, like Katrina said, probably October onwards is probably a good date, I think, you know, because there's more certainty. When, you know, hopefully in 6 months' time, this virus will have disappeared, and we'll look back in 12 months going, oh my God, do you remember when that happened? So yeah, you're probably right, Katrina. I'd say, you know, October, November onwards, and then definitely into 2021. I'm not hopeful of summer personally. I don't think summer is going to happen. I think if anything starts to move, it's going to be end of July. All the cruise ships, all the planes, you know, the planes are out of sync. You know, they're in France, they're in Bournemouth, God knows where they're going to put the rest of them. Ships are bobbing around in seas here, there, and everywhere. You know, so they've got to reposition them and get them back. You know, so it's going to be very difficult once that lift comes along. But yeah, I'd say definitely October, November, get the offers out there, get people booked for 2021, get them rebooked. And just let's all work together, both tour operators, airlines, and travel agents and home workers. And let's get everybody back to being happy and trusting travel agents.
Thank you. And how about you, Richard, as the director of quite a big business? Do you have various different eventualities planned for now, or are you just going to hang on and see how the next few weeks go?
No, you know, Charles in particular has been working on all kinds of eventualities and, you know, creating massive spreadsheets with all kinds of outcomes. And obviously we've been talking as a board on a twice weekly basis about the situation and the bigger picture, and trying to, you know, see, you know, what it's going to look like. It's changing all the time. Well, it has settled down. I think the first 2 weeks were, you know, scenarios changing all the time. I think we've got some kind of, you know, certainty now. With regards to the market coming back, as I say, I think I can see people starting to want to rebook, but I don't think they'll be traveling, as Martin and Katrina have said, until the autumn time and then into 2021. I think that's where we are. There's a massive thought process that needs to form part of the government's exit strategy from this. This is starting to be talked about, isn't it? What is the government's exit strategy? Well, I think for obviously to get the world moving again, we're going to have to see some kind of, you know, uniformity between, well, you know, if you're coming into my country, are you healthy to do so? So we might have to have either, you know, stamps to say that we have, you know, immunity, or we've got vaccinations, but obviously, you know, vaccinating the whole world is not going to happen overnight. So that might hold back, you know, things starting to move a little bit as well. So I think even though I'd expect some departures in the autumn, I think it will be a gradual thing, because, you know, there may be some rules and regulations that governments start to put in place that, you know, mean that, you know, people, you know, have to go through a process which slows things down a little bit. So I think we need to, as a business, you know, in our entirety, home workers, you know, as individuals as well, they need to think about, you know, the fact that customers are probably not going to be travelling, certainly through the summer, and it'll probably be the autumn time. And if you plan accordingly for that, then, you know, I think you'll be not far wide of the mark.
Yeah, it's not going to just turn on overnight like that, is it? It's going to be a complicated return. Well, great to hear that you're all feeling, you know, reasonably positive that that is going to come in the not too distant future, and that you've got clients who are also excited to look to the future and start talking to you about making plans. That's very encouraging to hear. That's all we've got time for, actually, but huge thank you, Richard, Martin and Katrina, for joining us and talking so honestly about what's going on in your businesses and how you've been coping so far. And thanks also to everybody who joined us on Facebook. I hope you'll join us again next week for Agent Matters. And in the meantime, everybody please keep safe and keep in touch. And if there's anything else TTG can be doing to support and guide you lot at the moment, then do let us know. Okay, bye everybody.
All the best, everybody. Cheers.
Bye.